Hello, Adam here, and today I'm going to show you how to create a pricing table design using GenerateBlocks. Okay, so here's the pricing table that I've already designed and created using GenerateBlocks, and in this video I'm going to show you step by step how to recreate it. So first what we're going to do is go and create a new page. Now once you're on that new page, you want to add a new container and add an inner container as well. So the first block we want to do is a grid, and we'll start out with a 3-column grid. And if we come back here, compare, so first we'll create this pricing tier on the left. And on this left one, we got a white background, we've got a border color, we've got a drop shadow, we got a button with a little bit of icon hover effect. So we've got several things going on. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 highlights. And also you'll see a small detail here. So the $50 a month, where a month is actually smaller than the price, but on the same line. So we've got a lot of things to cover. Let's go ahead and start with laying out some of the text. We're going to add a headline block first, and we'll keep that as a H2. We'll say basic. We will style that font, so transform, we'll do uppercase. Font size, we could probably do 24. Let's see, letter spacing, we're gonna do 0.25 EMs. And then the text color, we're going to do this dark gray. Now we can go ahead and duplicate that block. If you do on a Mac, Shift Command D, and it'll create a new duplicate for you. We're going to change this to paragraph, and this is going to be our price. So we got to go undo a couple styles. So we're going to go default. Got to fix that. We'll go default font weight. We're actually going to do this one bold. We want the price to stand out more than the name of the plan itself. And we want it to be a different color. We're going to do this blue color. And also remove the letter spacing. Alright, so when you got that in place, on the basic headline, go ahead and click that, come back in, and in the spacing, let's go bottom margin 0. Alright, so below this headline, let's go ahead and create a new headline. Then we're going to create the features. So we're going to do a paragraph. We'll say feature highlight. We need to add an icon as well. I always think that for lists, icons help really delineate and help users see the features easier. So we'll go to general, and we're just going to choose the basic checkbox or check mark. And if we come back, you see these divider lines. So these are actually bottom borders on these headlines. So if we come back to our page and we go to spacing, border size, bottom, we're going to say 1 pixel. So you see automatically it's going to show up. And then we want to go and lighten that up a little bit. We don't want such a harsh border. So we're going to do this lighter gray. And then we want to push that border down a little bit away from the text so it has some breathing room. So we'll go bottom about 10 pixels. All right. So now once we have that first one created, we can actually use that same duplicated shortcut of Command Shift D and replicate these as many times as you need to create more features in your pricing table. So I'm going to go ahead and do it 5 more times so that we have a total of 6. And actually you'll see these are spaced out a little bit too much because I got a margin bottom of 24. So what I'm going to do is go in and select all 6 of these headlines. If you click one, hold shift, click another. And the bottom, I'm going to say 12 pixels. Cut that in half from 24 to 12. That looks a lot better. It's more evenly spaced. All right, and let's see. Last up is the button. So we'll come to the last block, hit enter, type button, and select the GenerateBlocks button. And we're going to say sign up today. And I always like to tweak the top padding a little bit, just down to 10, top and bottom. And we're going to add an icon as well. We'll choose this right arrow and come on down and choose icon location to right. And then we can go ahead and set up the animation. First, let's change the color. Background, we want it to be this blue. Hover to the dark gray, and then white is perfect. Now, when we select that, we want to go and create the animation on the button. So we'll go to Effects, we'll say Transform, and say Add Transform. We're going to do a Translate on all devices, only on hover, on the icon. We're going to translate X by 5 pixels. So if you hover, you can see that icon jump 5 pixels to the right. And now we want to smoothen that out, so we're going to enable a transition. We're going to say hover, icon, and close that out. And now it's much smoother, you can see. So, what do we got left? Now, we've got all the text in. Let's go ahead and save your draft. We've got all the text in, but we need some spacing, padding around the text. We also need the border and the drop shadow. So let's go ahead and select the outer container in this grid. And we're gonna come to background, and we're gonna say white. We just wanna make sure that remains white. And we'll do padding. Let's go 40 pixels all the way around. And let's also add that light border. Let's do that gray. Come up to the border size, say 1 pixel, select the link all the way around. Border radius, let's go ahead and do about 8 pixels. Perfect, looking good. Now we'll come on down to the effects. Let's enable the box shadow. And I'm actually just going to leave it as the default settings. I think it's a decent looking shadow. It's not too harsh. It's pretty light. We're going to leave that as is. So if we come to the button though, I want to add some space between the button and the last feature. So we're going to come up to margin on the button, and we'll put 20 pixels. I think it pushes it down a good length there to separate it from the list. So we'll save draft, say view preview, and it's looking decent. This is just, I believe, needs some space in the container, on the outer container for that. So let's go do that real quick. Come to the outermost container and go with my default 80, 20, 80, 20. Let's save the draft, come to the preview, and there it goes. So now you can see that top border. The shape divider on the page header was overlapping. All right, so we got the basics in place here, but we actually needed to address the month text size. As we noted originally, we've got that smaller and on the same line. So what we're gonna do is come back to your headline, highlight that section of the text, month with the backslash, come down to this more arrow next to the link and click highlight, which shows a little blue, or the highlighter icon. And in addition to that, so that's going to add a class to our text. But we also need to add a specific class that we can call to it. So if you come all the way down to the bottom, go to advanced, And additional CSS class, we're going to say, we'll say pricing text. And now we'll go ahead and save the draft. All right, so next we need to go write some CSS so that we can make this text happen. So let's jump into the front end of the page and come to the customizer so we can write the CSS and see these changes happen in real time. Let me move my face over here. All right, so first we're going to put the CSS class that we created, which was pricing text, and then we're going to use .gb highlight. That's the class that's applied when you click highlight. It kind of creates a span on your text so that you can apply CSS to a specific area of your headline. All right, so now we're going to say font size 16 pixels, and there it is. You can already see it change. And we'll go font weight normal. All right, so that looks pretty good. That's what we wanted. That's what we're going for, and that's complete. So now we can publish, come back to our page, refresh, and it's looking good. So next we're going to go ahead and actually duplicate this table and create the other two sections of the pricing table. So I'm going to move me back on over here, and we'll go ahead and say duplicate and duplicate. And what we'll do is come to these containers that we're not using, say remove container, select it, remove container. So first off, we're going to come to the grid block, and we're going to set some horizontal gaps so that we have some space in between these. We're going to go ahead and do 20 pixels. And then the third one, so if we come back to our example, let's see. The third and the first one are essentially the same, right? Different headline, different price, but styles are the same. This middle one is where the background changes, the text color changes. We've got this little best value highlight at the top. So what we can do is actually just change this to say premium. We'll say $200 a month, and that one's pretty much done. So this middle container, we're going to make some adjustments to it. What we could do is go on the background, change it to this blue color, and then you'll see right away we need to make the changes to the text. So we'll say text, change to white, select the block there of your price, say white. We can actually select all of these at once. If you click and drag, you can say text white. And now the button, we got to kind of do an inverse style. So we're going to say background white, gray on hover, and then text we'll say blue and white on hover. So it's perfect. You could read it, everything's legible. We'll say Pro as this plan and change this to $100 a month, just for demonstration purposes, right? So you see, and then usually the middle one kind of has a few extra features. So we can come to this one and again hit Shift Command D a couple times, 2-3 times, so that we can add some more features to this list to show that it's a better plan. And what you can do now, because if you notice, these are center aligned so that these two outer containers, the basic and the premium, are aligned in the middle of this middle blue box. So if you come to your grid, click the grid block and go to vertical alignment and say center, it'll automatically align all those to the center for you. So we can save our drafts, save our work. And last up on the list here, design-wise, is to add this best value block at the top. This one's a little bit trickier, but pretty straightforward. So I'll go ahead and just duplicate the Pro headline. come to it, change it to a paragraph. And we'll say best value. However, we want this to be a lot smaller. We'll say 14 font size, and then background, we're going to say white. Text, we'll say blue. We're going to add some border radius to it, so we'll say about 8 pixels all the way around. It's going to create kind of a pill. And then you'll see it's spanning the full width of this container. We really don't want that, so we're going to say display flex, but it's still not going to do that for us. So what we're going to do is come to max width and say 50%. And then if you come up to content and actually change that to center, it's going to push that text right in the middle of that pill and be perfectly aligned. So that's what we're looking for. Now we need to move it up in the box so it's at the top. So I'm going to create some negative margin. We'll say negative 50. And then on the bottom, we're going to say about 30 pixels. So if we come out, we can see it's perfect sitting at the top edge of that. It's got some good consistent spacing above Pro. But we actually want to add an outline to this. So we're going to add a border size 1 pixel all the way around and select a blue for that border. All right, so now you can see we'll save the draft, come to the front end, refresh. We got pretty much a completed pricing table. The only thing we need to do is go through the responsive settings and ensure that this looks good on tablet and mobile. All right, so we'll jump back into our editor, and if we come to tablet, we can see this looks terrible. So we're gonna make some changes here to make sure that these look a lot better. So if we open up our outline here, we're gonna go to the grid, and we're gonna change this to about 10 pixels horizontal gap. I think that works perfectly fine for tablet. It's still enough space. And then on the containers themselves, we're going to highlight all 3 containers. We're going to come to the padding, and we're just going to do 20 pixel padding. I think that works okay for tablet. We're going to make additional few tweaks. So the basic font size I think is just far too large. We can bring that down to 20. Same with Pro and Premium. And then our best value tag here needs to be brought back down. So if we say minus 30, that'll put it perfect where we want it. And I think that's looking pretty good. So now we can go ahead and jump to mobile. And you see we need some vertical gap in between our grid. So we're going to come all the way up to our grid. And vertical gap, we'll say, let's do 40 pixels. And our best value looks pretty good. Let's see, come on down. I think actually on mobile, I'd like to go ahead and bring the containers back to a 40 pixel padding. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I like that a lot better. So let's come to our best value and pop that up to minus 40. Nope. Let's go back to minus 50. Yes, that's going to do it. And that's looking pretty good. So mobile, tablet, desktop. We'll say save draft. Come to our front end, basic, Pro, Premium. If we come into the customizer, we can use the customizer toggle here as well to check it out. So this is desktop, tablet. Oh, we actually got an issue here. Best value on tablet is not looking very good because it's sticking to that 50% width that we initially set it to. So on best value for max width, we can go ahead and say 100% on that one. I think that is totally fine. So let's say save draft and go ahead and refresh real quick. Perfect. Looks great. We got our features, and then we'll go ahead and jump to mobile, basic, pro, premium. It's looking good. So there's just one example of how you can create a pricing chart within GenerateBlocks. It may not work for every use case, especially for more complex pricing charts. However, I think it's a great setup for something basic and easy. Hope it helps, and we'll see you next time.